A pregnant UPS worker was found dead at her workplace. Let's put up this headline. After a UPS worker suicide, employees disclosed tragic conditions at largest facility. Reveal UPS workers tell The Guardian that intense quota pressures, injuries, and unclean and unsafe environment and understaffing take a heavy toll on the workers. So the UPS Woodport facility is the largest automated packing sorting facility in the world in Louisville, Kentucky, with 70 aircraft docks and 155 miles of conveyor belts. The site is larger than the Mall of America and employs around 20,000 workers and is capable of handling 115 packages a second. 115,000 packages, or excuse me, 115 packages a second. That's a lot of packages. So working conditions at this facility have recently come under scrutiny in the wake of a recent workplace suicide of a pregnant worker with claims from workers that she had recently been fired. So we know that these workers spoke. They didn't want to be revealed because they feared retaliation. So glad. I want to thank Michael at The Guardian for bringing this to light. So a pregnant woman was fired. Allegedly, she was fired for falling asleep on the job. She went to the bathroom. The story in the reporting from The Guardian, went to the bathroom to collect herself, and she never came out of that bathroom. She was not found dead until later on that day. She died at the facility. So no one, and I do agree with this, that no one can ever know the true reason why someone takes their life. But workplace suicides are on the rise. They are in the US, and they have risen dramatically in recent years and reached a record level in 2019. That happened last year, for which this is the data from last year for which the Bureau of Labor Statistics has the data. The worker's death, which happened on October 5th, is under investigation by the Louisville Metro Police. Let's put up this chart from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it shows us very clearly that worker suicides are going up. 307 workplace suicides in 2019. That is up 39% since the year 2000. And this data, again, is coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That was another story that Michael did for The Guardian. So after news of the death broke, workers at UPS Woodport spoke to The Guardian about the conditions of the site under anonymity. Obviously, we know that they want to be anonymous for fear that there would be some type of retaliation. Let's put up what the workers named the concerns are at this facility. Intense productivity and quota pressures, common injuries on the job, unclean environment, worn out equipment, and understaffing. This sounds a lot like Amazon, but we're not talking about Amazon. We're talking about UPS right now, but the conditions sound very, very similar. One UPS worker framed it this way: the working conditions are tragic. That is a strong word, tragic. Jessica?
Yeah, you're right. This is like Amazon, but it's UPS and it's many corporations in the United States. And you're right that we cannot imagine why someone would decide to take their own life. We can't put ourselves in their brains and in their souls. But listen, she was fired because she fell asleep on the job. A pregnant woman, someone who was working while pregnant, was so exhausted that they fell asleep on the job. And the response was retaliation and firing, not a reevaluation of what those working conditions and benefits are. It is disgusting that working people spend so many hours of their lives in these warehouses in unsafe conditions. The working conditions are tragic. What they really mean is they are inhumane. No human being should have to go through that. And when you're living life day in and day out, coming home exhausted from the work you do, and when you're in the warehouse, you're pretty much a cog in the machine. You're a part of the production line. You lose your humanity. How do you retain any mental health in those conditions, especially while pregnant? And to be treated like you're expendable if you get so tired you fall asleep. This is every day in America. This is the cost of people getting their packages on time, getting things a little bit cheaper, and it's not worth it. None of that is worth us losing human lives, but that's the reality in the United States today, and that's why we've got to fight against it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Jessica. I was just thinking how much things have changed just even over the last 10 years. People being forced to work on Thanksgiving now, people working on Christmas. There was once upon a time in the olden days where that was not the case. And all of us, each and every one of us has a role to play in this. This does not absolve places like UPS and Amazon and other major corporations that treat their employees this way. It does not absolve them from their responsibility to make sure that there are safe working conditions, that the working conditions are comfortable for the type of work that people are doing. We're talking about this is physical labor. And the reason why I am saying that all of us are responsible in some way is because of the point that Jessica just made. We are addicted to getting our packages very quickly in less than 24 hours in some cases. And you best believe that UPS is in competition with Amazon. And it is this competition that drives this kind of outrageous management or mismanagement at these facilities where they work workers to the bone and not even take care or concern about how they are feeling. Also, the workers here mentioned that there's no air conditioning. We're talking about Louisville, Kentucky, and there's no air conditioning. There have been multiple stories about how a lot of the UPS trucks, Jessica, that the drivers are in do not have air conditioning. And they actually had thermostats in those trucks to show all of us how hot it really is in those trucks.
Yeah, and the corporations are lobbying our politicians to not regulate them so that the working conditions, there's no laws that are going to protect these workers from these conditions. And the one response they have is to come together and form a union. And what do they get in response? Unprecedented union busting. Corporations taking illegal actions against workers who are exercising their right to organize. And we don't have Congress, the administration, or Marty Walsh really stepping up and fighting for workers and using their power to defend these people who are just trying to survive and pay their bills.
Yeah, exactly. It's really cruel, and the feds are allowing this, and state governments need to step in here too. This doesn't have to be this way. These corporations need to be held accountable. But again, we, the consumers, have to rethink and understand that we are also complicit in this. We need to make better demands. Make sure that our sisters and brothers and our family and friends who are doing this physical labor, to make sure that packages get there on time, that we have their back. And in this case, we should absolutely have their back. This is unacceptable. The state needs to step in and do an investigation. The Attorney General of Kentucky should step in, and the federal government should absolutely step in. And just for the part of the UPS workers, they do have a union, it's the Teamsters. And these unions are constantly under pressure to continue to push back against these types of work conditions. It's unfair. It is absolutely unfair, and we all have to bear the burden of this.
Yeah, I remember when the UPS drivers were passing out, I was looking into the contract the Teamsters have, and the workers were ready to strike, right? When you're passing out because you're so hot, workers could lose their lives on the job. Yes. And the contract says they have to get approval from the president to strike, and the president said they didn't plan on striking until they were fighting for a new contract the following summer. Workers could lose their lives before then, so the unions have to step up for their employees as well.
That's right, and not conduct, the leaders of those unions not be involved in backroom deals with the management when it comes to challenging the bosses of these places. And even those truck drivers also, there were stories about them running through water, water hoses that were out on lawns just to cool down because it was so extraordinarily hot in the truck. So please, for all of us, stand up for these workers. Be in solidarity with them because they need us. We need them and they need us. And we need to get over this 24-hour mentality. It really is killing people. So let's stand up and support our sisters and brothers.